Hello everybody, welcome to one more video on big units of World War II, and this is of course for rapid fire in 20mm size, both 176 scale and 172nd scale. So this is the second part of the big Mortain German offensive, okay? And as I told you yesterday, let's see two of the divisions of this big counteroffensive. So let's start with the second Panzer Division. Second Panzer Division is here, and let's see what it did in the map. So here is Mortain. They left from this road a little bit up north, and of course the idea was to drive the Americans to the sea, to the region of Avranches. They didn't get there, but they got to the farthest point of the German advance, which was the Mesnil-Adelée. So this was one of the, in fact, of the best divisions the Germans had. It was led by General von Luttwitz, which was later on promoted to corps commander. He didn't fare that well as corps commander, but he was in fact one of the best divisional German officers of the German army. So this division also proves a little bit that sometimes we think that SS divisions are better equipped than Heer divisions. In fact, it was not the case. The Second Panzer was very powerful, as many others of the normal army, the Heer, the German Heer. And this is for instance, you can see that for instance, Second Panzer SS, Das Reich, if it had a few things better and other things worse. So that idea that we have that SS was always receiving the best stuff is not quite so. So let's see the division on the paper first. Sorry, and let's, for instance, pick the words of Franz Josef Strauss, which is a divisional historian, and he mentions around 60 tanks, 15 Jagdpanthers, and around 1,500 men in the Panzer Grenadier regiments, which means quite a lot. That's why this division was considered Kampfwert I, so apt for defense or offensive operations. The Panther Abteilung is here. You can see the new trident symbol applied on the tanks of the division, on the vehicles of the division, instead of the former inverted Y that is now gone. And you can see here Berger Panther from Altaia, 6 Airfix Panthers, and 6 Panzer IVs. Some of them are my own conversions of the Panzer IV from Airfix, others are, like these ones here, are Skytrax. So this is a group made of essentially 176 scale models. You can see here the Panzer Jägerabteilungen. What was the number of these guys? It was number is it 38? Yeah, Panzer Panzerjägerabteilungen 38. With the Jagdpanzer IV from these ones from Eschi, as well as these ones are also Eschi here, and these are the Pioneer Battalion. There are still some Stuka Fuß and a Flammenwerfer, and the Pioneer. Some of them are conversion. You see Revel and like the flamethrower guy with the Revel body and a head from Valiant. You see here a group of Valiant Pioneers. Some of them you can see have the mines attached to them for them to look like Pioneers. So this is the Pioneer group. Now let's go to the reconnaissance. Still a good number of vehicles, 250s of course, Frontline, Altaia, Eschi, 222 from Airfix, this 234, if I'm not mistaken, right, from Frontline, and Matchbox here gives 2 Puma. This division had also the Puma, which also means that the reconnaissance was quite well equipped. Then the artillery Abteilungen with Eschi, Vespa, and Hummels, with I think Hasegawa and plastic figures on top as Ford observers. This is the Flak Abteilungen of the division, SHQ 88, Britannia 20mm self-propelled guns in Auftrags, and Nachtstrache Hanomag 7 from Azigawa with the Britannia crew. And now, one last word in this division for the, in fact, two more words. One of them for the infantry. My usual infantries are plenty of conversions, as you can see here. For instance, look at those guys. The radio guy from Ashy, this time is holding a MG42. And the Airfix running figure with the MG34 is now having new legs and running differently, of course. So plenty of conversions, as you can see. And also plenty of 251s. This division had, in fact, two of the 4 battalions equipped with the 251s, which was in fact very rare, because generally in each 4 Panzer Grenadier battalions of a Panzer division, only one of the battalions had 251s. This one had 2, as you can see. So I also have a 3rd battalion, because 1,500 men allows you to make more or less the remnants of the Panzer Grenadiers were 1,500 in this division, as you saw by what I read from the historian of the division. So a 3rd battalion is riding Opel-Blitz from Airfix and an Opel-Blitz Pass from Skytrax. So the 251s are Matchbox, Eshi again, Azegawa. The Bisons are from Attack. Complicated kits, but the end result is quite nice. Here, Matchbox. This one, smaller one, I think is Nito Fujimi, and Azegawa again, if I'm not mistaken. No, this is not, sorry. This is Frontline. And the 263 conversion from the Airfix 8-wheeled hybrid model that they sold and still sell, I think, from time to time, quite often. And Simon Soldiers figures here also, regular miniatures. I mean, the infantry comes from all kinds of metal and plastic origins. So we've seen basically the 2nd Panzer Division, and now let's go to the SS, to the 2nd SS Panzer Division, Das Reich, the infamous division that killed thousands of people in Ukraine and in Russia. On those days, everything was Soviet Union, as you know. There were quite a good bunch of murderers inside. This division was really crammed with true Nazis, unfortunately. When they arrived in France, they did the same. They just couldn't kill as many people, but in fact they did plenty of atrocities. In Toul, for instance, they killed 100 guys by hanging. They didn't kill the other 500 because the rope was over. Otherwise, they would have done it. In Oradour-sur-Glane, it became the most famous episode of French massacres made by Germans, of course. Oradour-sur-Glane saw over 700 people being killed, many of them burned alive. So these guys were really having a terrible history behind them. And unfortunately, this guy here, General Lammerding, escaped the war without being trial, without being in jail. Nice life after that. Created his own work and construction enterprise. Died not very old, but without ever being sitting on a court. Unfortunately, of course, it had to be so because of the good relations between Germans on one side, of course, and French and English and Americans on the other, of course, because the enemy was another one during Cold War, as everybody knows. So models. You can see here Eshi Panthers. So the group changes, the tanks change to 1/72nd scale here, okay? You can see here Ernst Bachmann. He was not, in fact, in Normandy. He was enjoying a very good, very well-deserved leave because of famous episodes of Bachmann's Corner against the Allies, if I'm not mistaken, against American Shermans. So, he was out, but even so, he was part of the division, so I place him here, okay? In the famous 424 Panther. So, Eshi here, 263 Panzer Division, 2nd 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 Pan SHQ for the Berger Panther, Eschi and Altair for the Panzer IVs. The Flak Panzers are Hasegawa, Britannia for Lamberting's vehicle, converted Matchbox 251 for the command version, okay, with 3 antennas. Here you have a frontline 4-wheel 75mm short gun. You have a group of Britannia for the other 250s. The Panzerjäger battalion, the Jagdpanzer battalion, sorry, had Sturmgeschütz 3 instead of the previous Jagdpanzer 4. These ones are armor fast with not the best mantlet, because it is the previous mantlet that I wanted. I mean, I wanted the more recent, the G version. I mean, in order for me to have a G version that you can see, so I covered the mantlet with foliage like this. No one noticed that it's a previous model. Okay, it's an option, of course. The division also had some Werfers on the Mortain chassis. A particularity also of this division, and the artillery is the same as the second Panzer. I placed the same kind of vehicles. I only switched the Kugelwagen by a Schwimmwagen, and vehicles are all Altair with plastic crew, of course. The figures and the 251s and other cars from the Panzergrenadier 1st Battalion. Here you can see there I only placed 2 battalions. It's enough for the number of survivors, if I can call it, after 2 months of fighting. I mean, not 2 months, this division. The 2nd Panzer arrived around the 12th. This one arrived a little bit later. So more than 1 month of fighting reduced the 4 battalions up to 2. Only to 2. So you have valiant figures here for the 1st Battalion. Ravenstorp cars, 251s from Eschi also. A valiant 120mm mortar, another Bison from Attack, and the other battalion, frankly my favorite, is the Britannia metal figures. I mean, all options are here, both for the command and support weapons company, and also the Panzergrenadier companies are all equipped with Britannia figures, which I like a lot. 251 here, the 75mm short version with plastic ends, and these guys here are Britannia. Yeah. Crew, model is Hasegawa. Frontline here. What is this? Hasegawa also, and Hasegawa, and all are with the SS smock. The crew are all with SS smock. So, and I think this is the things I wanted to tell you about these 2 divisions. So next, 2 more divisions, but for now let's stay with the 2nd Panzer and the 2nd SS Panzer, okay? And see you next with 2 more. Bye bye.